You were not born to drift. You were not designed to wake up every morning just to survive. Deep in your bones, there is a fire, ancient, silent, waiting. And every time you silence your dreams, every time you delay your purpose, every time you choose comfort over calling, you pour cold water on that flame. But make no mistake, the flame is still there. It flickers with every heartbeat. It whispers through the cracks of your doubt. It is the part of you that refuses to accept mediocrity, the part of you that knows you were made for more. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why most people never change. Let's talk about why New Year resolutions feel powerful on January 1st and forgotten by February. Let's talk about why you start with motivation and end in frustration. The answer is simple. They never set goals that were alive. A goal that motivates you isn't something you write down. It's something that writes itself into your identity. It's a vow, a sacred declaration to your future self that you will not abandon the life you were born to build. But most people don't set vows. They make wishes. I want to lose weight. I want to make more money. I want to be happy. Hollow, fragile. These are not goals. These are whispers from a soul afraid to roar. You cannot build an empire on a maybe. You cannot transform your life with lukewarm language. You cannot summon the best of yourself with words that don't shake the ground beneath you. The goal must pull you. It must be magnetic. So powerful that when you think of quitting, it grabs you by the collar and reminds you who you are. Not every goal will do this. You must choose carefully. You must carve it out of the stone of your own becoming. Before the goal motivates you, it must reflect you. Not who you are, but who you must become. So the question is not, what do you want? That question is too shallow. The question is, who are you willing to become in order to deserve what you say you want? Because here's the truth. The goal doesn't matter until you do. If you're not changing, the goal is irrelevant. If your habits don't evolve, the destination is imaginary. If your standards don't rise, your dreams are decorations pretty to look at but powerless to change your life. That's why we start not with the goal, but with the mind that will carry it. You must believe it is possible. Not just mentally, viscerally. You must feel the pulse of your dream like a second heartbeat. You must see it with such intensity that your subconscious cannot tell the difference between vision and memory. If belief is the engine, clarity is the compass. You need to know what you're building, but more importantly, you need to know why. A goal without a why is a car without fuel. You might love the design, you might admire the horsepower, but it's not going anywhere. Your why is not a slogan. It's not a motivational quote. Your why is a force. It's the ache that won't let you sleep. It's the fear of dying with your song still inside. It's the hunger to live fully, loudly, unapologetically. Clarity creates conviction, and conviction eliminates confusion. When you know exactly what you're building and why it matters, the how becomes less important. You'll find a way. You'll crawl through storms and dance with demons. You'll burn the ships and storm the island. Because it's no longer a goal, it's who you are. But motivation isn't born in comfort. It's born in confrontation. You must confront the parts of yourself that are lazy, the parts that procrastinate, the parts that lie and say, I'll start tomorrow. You must look them in the eye and say, not today. Today, I lead. Discipline is the gatekeeper of destiny. There is no magic formula, just consistent fire. Daily decisions that declare, I'm building something eternal here. Success is not a secret. It's a rhythm, and your discipline is the drummer. Every small act, every choice to show up when it's hard, every time you rise when it's easier to stay down, you are beating the drum of your own becoming. And yet, discipline without direction becomes drudgery. You need a map, but more than that, you need vision. Vision is not a snapshot of your ideal life. Vision is your soul in motion. It's the movie you replay in your mind when no one's watching. It's vivid, emotional, specific. You don't just want success. You see yourself walking into your dream home, hearing your child say, I'm proud of you, feeling the breeze from a place you used to only see in pictures. Vision must be emotional, because emotion is the glue that binds the goal to your spirit. And once the goal is emotional, it becomes spiritual. It transcends paper. It transcends lists. It becomes sacred. That's when motivation arrives, not from outside, but from within. But goals that motivate don't just inspire, they demand. They demand focus, ruthless, unapologetic focus. You can't be everything and become something. You must say no to 1,000 things to say yes to one great thing. You must protect your time like a soldier guards a fortress. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. Every minute wasted on comparison, gossip, or mindless scrolling is a brick removed from the cathedral you were born to build. Your life is a construction site. Every thought, every choice, every habit is laying stone. Build carelessly and you'll create a prison. Build intentionally and you'll craft a temple. So ask yourself every day, is this thought helping me build? Is this action leading me to the life I promised myself? And if not, eliminate it, because every step matters. Every hour echoes. The world will try to water down your vision. Don't let it. The mediocre will tell you to be realistic. Ignore them. The masses will beg you to blend in. Refuse. You were not born to repeat. You were born to rewrite. You were not meant to copy. You were meant to create. But hear me now. Creation is chaos before its clarity. You will fail. You will doubt. You will question whether any of this is worth it. That's normal. That's part of the price. But let me remind you, the pain of growth is always cheaper than the agony of regret. Regret is the most expensive emotion in the universe. It costs you your soul. So when the days get heavy and they will remember your vow, remember the moment you decided to no longer live on autopilot. Remember that you are not here to merely exist. You are here to expand. You don't need more time, you need more urgency. You don't need more inspiration, you need more intention. You don't need someone to save you, you need to rise for yourself. This is your life, not a rehearsal, not a draft. The real thing, so make it real. And remember, the goal is not the end. The goal is the ignition. It's the match that lights the fire. But the fire is what must be fed. Feed it with consistency, with courage, with character, and above all, feed it with gratitude. Because the ability to set a goal is already a blessing. Some people are stuck in survival. But you get to dream. You get to build. You get to become. So honor the gift, not by playing small, but by playing true. Speak your vision. Speak it until the vibration in your voice shifts your cells. Write it down like it's a declaration from the heavens. Then walk toward it like your future depends on it, because it does. Your goals are not distant hopes. They are the future calling you home. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the voice. It's not shouting, it's whispering. Whispering, it's time. It's time to stop treating your life like an accident and start living like it was engineered by purpose. To stop tiptoeing through days and start marching like your steps mean something, because they do. Every second you waste, you lend to regret. But every second you command, you invest in legacy. See, the people who move mountains don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect clarity. They begin with a blurry vision and sharpen it through movement. Progress isn't born in perfection. It's born in motion. You become clear by doing. You become strong by enduring. You become great by deciding that comfort is no longer your God. Comfort will kill your dream in silence. It won't scream. It'll whisper. Take it easy. Do it later. You deserve to rest. And yes, rest is sacred when it's earned. But too often, rest is used as a disguise for avoidance. We tell ourselves we're waiting for the right time, but time doesn't wait, it escapes. And here's the brutal truth. Most people don't fail because they set their goals too high and miss. They fail because they set them too low and hit. They trade their calling for convenience, their destiny for distractions, their dreams for the dopamine of temporary comfort. But that's not you. You wouldn't be listening to this if it was. You're the kind that feels the weight of untapped potential in your chest like an iron anchor. You're the kind that's not satisfied being above average in a world addicted to mediocrity. You want more, and not the shallow kind of more. Not more stuff, more impact, more meaning, more truth in your days, more alignment between who you are and how you live. So you must raise the standard, not just what you expect from life, but what life can expect from you. Because every goal worth chasing will test your identity. It will ask, are you really the kind of person who finishes what you start? Are you willing to outlast the storm? Are you willing to let go of who you were to become who you must be? Goals that motivate don't flatter your ego. They awaken your character. And character is forged in fire. In the hard days, The silent days. The days when the results are invisible, but the grind is real. When no one claps. When nothing goes right. When doubt creeps in like a slow fog. Those are the days that make champions. Those are the days that test whether the goal was a fantasy or a fire. And here's the beauty. You don't need to be extraordinary to begin, but you do need to begin to become extraordinary. The journey rewards the brave, not the perfect. And courage is not the absence of fear. It's the choice to move anyway. You can be terrified and still take action. You can be uncertain and still stay consistent. You can feel like quitting and still show up, because every time you choose your future over your feelings, you reclaim your power. And power compounds. Every act of discipline feeds the identity of a finisher. Every act of sacrifice sharpens your edge. Every time you rise above the noise and say, "This matters," the universe leans in closer and says, "Show me." That's the dance. You declare your goal. Life tests your conviction. And you either rise or you repeat. You either become the author or you remain the audience. But know this, the moment you begin to move with intention, life moves with you. Doors appear, people show up, opportunities align. Not because you waited, but because you walked. The world bends to the will of the unwavering. So do not let your dreams be gentle. Let them burn. Let them roar. Let them remind you every day that you are not done yet. That the greatest chapters of your story are still unwritten, and you, pen in hand, are the only one who can write them. This is the power of setting a goal that truly motivates. It's not a finish line. It's the ignition to a life you can be proud of. A life that echoes beyond you. A life that reminds the world, I was here, and I did not waste the gift. So speak it, breathe it, move like you mean it, because the clock is ticking, and every second is a chance to become the person you promised you'd be. Now go. Set the kind of goal that makes comfort uncomfortable, the kind that demands your transformation, the kind that wakes you up in the morning and won't let you sleep at night, and then build it, bleed for it, live it. Not someday, not when it's easier. Now, your legacy begins with a goal. Your transformation begins with a vow, and your power begins the moment you decide to never go back. Because going back is no longer an option. Once you've tasted what it feels like to pursue a life that aligns with your soul, you can't unfeel it. Once you've seen the spark of your future self, even in a flicker, you can't pretend you didn't. The lie of maybe one day shatters in the presence of vision. That's why real goals, soul-aligned goals, don't just motivate you. They haunt you. They follow you through your days. They whisper when you try to numb yourself with distractions. They echo in quiet moments when you're alone and the noise dies down. Because deep inside, you were meant for something more. You know the power that's sleeping in your bones is not there by accident. You know the dreams that pull at your heartstrings are not illusions, they're instructions. And that tension you feel, that holy discontent, it's not there to torment you. It's there to wake you up, to shake you from the trance of a small life. To remind you, this moment is not practice. This moment is not disposable. This moment is the moment. Every day that passes is a seed planted. The only question is, what are you planting? Because you're always planting something: belief or fear, courage or delay, purpose or passivity. And the most dangerous lie isn't, you can't do it. It's, you can do it later. Later is the graveyard of potential. Later is the silent killer of greatness. Later is how decades disappear. Until one day, you wake up realizing you're living a life designed by your past instead of your potential. So let's burn that word. Let's bury it and replace it with now. Because now is all you'll ever truly have. And now is enough when you move with clarity. And here's the truth few will say out loud. Most people never actually want goals that change their life. They want goals that feel good to say, not ones that demand they change who they are. But not you. You're not here for surface. You're here to rewrite the standard. You're here to walk away from comfort, not cling to it. You're here to turn vision into structure and structure into reality. So let's talk about structure. Let's talk about how goals become tangible, how dreams become visible in the real world. It begins with translation. You must translate the emotional into the executable. You must take that roaring fire inside of you and break it into blueprints. Because a goal that lives in the clouds but never lands on paper will remain a fantasy. But once you write it, once you define it, now it has form. And with form comes accountability. So don't just say, I want to get in shape. Say, I will run 5 kilometers 3 times a week. I will eat with intention. I will treat my body like the vehicle of my legacy. Don't just say, I want financial freedom. Say, I will earn an extra stream, 10, this month. I will build a second stream of income. I will master the mindset of wealth. And don't just say, I want to be happier. That's vague. Say, I will practice gratitude every day. I will create, not just consume. I will surround myself with those who call forth my highest self. This is how you start moving. Specific goals are powerful because they give the mind something to work with. The brain is a problem-solving machine, but it can't solve vague. It thrives when the target is clear. And once it's clear, your subconscious goes to work, filtering information, finding patterns, pulling opportunities out of thin air. But the clarity must come first. Clarity builds confidence. Confidence fuels action. Action creates momentum. And momentum is a spiritual force. When you feel momentum, you become unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because your identity has changed. You no longer ask, can I do this? You declare, this is who I am now. And that's when the real shift happens. Not in the outer results, but in the inner wiring. You start showing up differently, thinking differently, speaking differently. You begin to speak life into your goals, into your environment, into your relationships, into yourself, because you've realized something most never do. Your words are blueprints. Your decisions are bricks. Your discipline is the cement, and your life is the structure being built moment by moment. So speak with intention, act with conviction, and build like you mean it. Because the life you want is not waiting at some distant milestone. It's hiding in your next decision. It's hidden in how you treat today, not next year, not next month. Today, when you decide to rise earlier, when you choose to move your body even when it aches, when you write that paragraph, make that call, save that dollar, show that love, finish that rep, that's when goals come alive. That's when motivation isn't something you chase, it's something you create. Through your consistency, through your character, through your clarity of purpose. And that is the foundation of a life that becomes unstoppable. Because unstoppable isn't a personality trait. It's not reserved for the gifted or the chosen. It's a decision you remake every single day, especially on the days when nothing around you seems to reflect your vision. And that's the true test. Can you stay loyal to a dream that hasn't paid you yet? Can you be faithful to a process that hasn't rewarded you yet? Can you remain committed to a future that only you can see? This is where most people fold, not because they didn't have the potential, but because they didn't have the patience. Not because the goal was impossible, but because they wanted the result before they earned the right to hold it. But hear this. Goals that actually motivate you are not about speed. They're about transformation. And transformation doesn't come in a rush. It comes in layers. It comes in quiet breakthroughs that happen when you show up day after day after day. You must fall in love with the rhythm of becoming, with the process, not just the prize, with the sweat, the silence, the stretch. Because if the goal changes you, it has already fulfilled its purpose. So don't ask, how fast can I get there? Ask, how deep can I grow into the person I must become to stay there? Because staying power is what separates the spark from the flame. Anyone can start, only the committed finish, and only the transformed sustain. Let's talk about sustainability, because motivation without sustainability is just emotional hype. We don't need hype. We need habits. Your habits are your daily vote for your future. They are the proof of what you actually value, not what you say you value, but what you live. If you want to know where your life is headed, don't look at your goals. Look at your calendar. Because your calendar doesn't lie. It tells the story of your priorities. Do you schedule your purpose or only your distractions? Do you make time to grow or do you just wait to react? If it's not on your calendar, it's not in your life. And if it's not in your life, it's not real. So schedule the work, schedule the silence, schedule the vision, schedule the evolution, and protect it like your destiny depends on it, because it does. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. They organize their lives around their mission, not their mood. And over time, the world starts to shift. Not because they had more talent, more resources, or more luck, but because they had more alignment. Alignment is when your words, your actions, and your goals all walk in the same direction. It's when you no longer pull against yourself. It's when there's no longer an internal civil war between who you are and who you're pretending to be. That kind of internal harmony, it creates external momentum. You become efficient, powerful, and magnetic. People will ask how you do it, how you stay so focused, so grounded, so driven, and they won't understand that it's not about what you do, it's about who you decided to be. That's what a real goal does. It transforms your identity. It rewires your standard. It resets your internal thermostat. You stop chasing comfort and start creating impact. You stop negotiating with excuses and start delivering results. And most importantly, you stop waiting to feel ready and start living ready. Because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a choice. It's the choice to show up when you're tired, to speak life when your mind wants to speak doubt, to move forward when fear says stay, to choose the future version of you over the present version of your comfort. This is what it means to set goals that actually motivate you. It means you don't just write them, you live them, you breathe them, you carry them into every room you walk into, and you let them shape how you speak, how you think, how you lead, how you show up. Because the real reward isn't the goal. The real reward is the person you become on the way to it. So build your goals with fire, structure them with discipline, fuel them with vision, ground them in gratitude, and walk with the kind of confidence that only comes from alignment. And when doubt comes knocking, and it will just smile, not because you're fearless, but because your why is louder than your fear. And your identity is rooted not in what the world sees, but in who you've decided to become. And that decision to become must be renewed daily. You don't climb the mountain once, you climb it every morning when your alarm goes off and your old self begs for one more hour of comfort. You climb it when your schedule gets hijacked and the chaos tests your focus. You climb it when the results are small, the wins are invisible, and the only thing louder than your doubts is your purpose. That's when you know the goal is real. When it pulls you through pain, when it silences excuses, when it makes comfort feel like betrayal. Because you've tasted discipline now. You've inhaled its clarity. You've felt its grip and you liked it. Maybe for the first time, you saw yourself choosing the harder road, not out of punishment, but out of freedom. That's what real goals do. They don't imprison you. They liberate you from laziness, from mediocrity, from the dull ache of unrealized potential. They remind you that the cost of growth is temporary, but the cost of regret, eternal. So how do you stay locked in? How do you fuel the flame day after day? You learn to fall in love with repetition. Repetition is the mother of mastery, and mastery is the birthplace of momentum. But repetition is not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's waking up early when no one's watching. It's doing the work when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's thankless. And that's exactly why most people never get what they want. They're allergic to repetition. They chase novelty instead of depth. But not you. You're different. You've tasted what it feels like to be fully aligned with a mission. And once you've felt that, nothing else satisfies. Not temporary pleasure. Not cheap distractions. Not the fleeting high of starting something new. You want to finish. You want to build something real. You want to become the kind of person who keeps promises to yourself first and then to the world. And let's not forget your words are seeds. Every time you speak with intention, you plant something powerful. Every time you declare who you are becoming, the soil of your future shifts. Every time you resist the urge to downplay your dreams just to make others comfortable, you fertilize your destiny. Speak life into your goals, into your identity, into the atmosphere around you. Speak like you're building an empire, not just surviving a job. Speak like your future is listening, because it is. Words shape energy. Energy shapes behavior. Behavior shapes results. Results shape legacy. So speak as if the universe is taking notes, because it is. You are not just a goal setter. You are a goal sculptor. You don't just make lists. You carve intentions into the stone of reality. And every time you act in alignment with your vision, you chip away at the marble until one day, what was once a block of potential becomes a statue of purpose, a life that inspires others. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real, because it was earned, because it was lived. So keep chiseling, keep refining, keep planting, and keep rising. Because if you could see the version of you that lives on the other side of your excuses, you'd never go back. You'd run through the fire just to shake hands with your future self. And that future self, they're not waiting for you to be perfect. They're waiting for you to be committed. They're waiting for you to remember who you are. They're waiting for you to stop asking for signs and start being one, because you are the evidence. You are the walking proof that a person can change. That pain can birth power. That discipline can defeat doubt. That clarity can conquer chaos. And that when a person aligns their vision with action, when they set a goal that pulls them instead of pushes them, the world bends to meet them. So breathe it in. This moment is yours. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now, you're not waiting on motivation. You're becoming the kind of person who generates it. And that is how you set goals that actually motivate you. That is how you take your life out of neutral and slam it into drive. Because motivation is not a lightning bolt. It's not luck. It's not waiting for the stars to align. It's built layer by layer in the quiet spaces between what you feel like doing and what you promised yourself you would do. Every decision matters now. Every decision either waters your future or weeds it. So you must become ruthlessly intentional. And that word intentional is sacred. It means you don't do things just because everyone else is doing them. You don't chase what's trending. You don't follow the herd. You listen for the signal beneath the noise. You lock in on what your soul knows is yours. And then you move, not impulsively, not reactively, deliberately. Because now you understand the difference between motion and progress. Most people stay busy emails, meetings, plans, but never move forward. They confuse movement with direction. They confuse effort with effectiveness, but not you. You're building with aim, with design, with force. And that force, it's not just drive. It's destiny in motion. Let the others sleep. Let the others scroll. Let the others mock and doubt and second guess. You've got work to do. Work that matters. Work that leaves a mark. Because this isn't just about personal achievement. This is about becoming the kind of person who can be trusted with influence. It's about becoming the kind of soul that others look at and say, if they can rise, maybe I can too. You're not just setting goals to win trophies. You're setting goals to create ripples. Ripples that touch generations. Ripples that make your future children, your friends, your community, your world better. That's what happens when you take this seriously. When your goals go from checklist items to life assignments. You stop aiming to impress. You start aiming to impact. And the way you get there isn't by doing everything at once. It's by mastering what's next. What's the next conversation you need to have? What's the next boundary you need to set? What's the next book you need to read? The next system you need to build? The next rep you need to grind through? Success doesn't come in one massive leap. It comes in the relentless execution of what's next. And when that next step feels small, take it anyway. Because every skyscraper starts with a shovel. Every revolution starts with a whisper. Every legend starts with a decision so quiet, so simple, it almost gets ignored. But not by you. You don't ignore the little moments anymore. You honor them because you understand how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're going to do it with fire. If you're going to speak, speak with conviction. If you're going to live, live on purpose. And if you're going to set goals, don't just pick what sounds good. Pick what wakes you up. Pick what demands your attention, your evolution, your greatness. Pick what makes you nervous because it reveals who you must become. That's how you set a goal that actually motivates you. One that doesn't just change your year, one that changes your life. And when it changes your life, it doesn't do so politely. It doesn't knock gently on the door of your routine and ask for permission to enter. No, it kicks the door down. It walks in and rearranges your habits, your thoughts, your standards. It sets fire to the parts of you that have overstayed their welcome. The fear, the laziness, the approval seeking, the excuses that have lived rent-free in your mind for too long. Because the goal that truly motivates you is not the goal that makes you feel good. It's the one that makes you let go. Let go of the identity that's expired. Let go of the people who can't see your vision. Let go of the old stories that told you were too late, too broken, too average. You aren't too late. You're right on time. Because clarity doesn't come when everything is ready. It comes when you are. And you are ready now. Ready to silence the voice that says, what if I fail? And replace it with, what if I rise? Ready to abandon the comfortable chaos of procrastination and step into the powerful order of execution. The most dangerous place to live is the middle. Not broken enough to change, not driven enough to rise. That's where dreams die. In the gray, in the in-between, in the someday, maybe later limbo. But you're done with that. You're not here for someday. You're here for right now, because there is no perfect time. There is only alignment. And when your soul aligns with your actions, that's when miracles happen. But hear this, and hear it with your whole heart. The dream is free, but the hustle, the sacrifice, the late nights and early mornings, the days when you show up with a broken heart and a clear mission, that's the price. That's the currency of transformation. And you, my friend, are rich in capacity. You were born with more than you've ever accessed. More strength, more vision, more resolve. It's there, all of it, waiting behind the wall of excuses, waiting behind the door labeled someday, waiting for you to walk in and claim it not with hesitation, but with holy fury. Because if you want to live a legendary life, you have to wage war on average. You have to build systems when others build stories. You have to rise with urgency when others sleep in mediocrity. You have to execute when no one claps, when no one cares, when no one's watching. Because you are watching, and that's all that matters. This is your integrity test. Will you keep showing up when no one is validating you? Will you still rise when the reward is months or years away? Because that is what separates the goal getters from the goal talkers. Anyone can write it down, but can you become it? Can you breathe it in? Can you sweat it out? Can you wake up with it pulsing through your veins and fall asleep knowing you gave it everything you had? Not once. Every single day. That's what it takes. And that's what you were built for. So stop measuring progress by applause. Start measuring it by alignment. Are you aligned with your mission today? Are your actions congruent with your highest vision? Is your speech building the future or breaking it down? Because your words are the architects of your world. Speak life. Speak fire. Speak forward, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's when it counts the most. That's when the seeds get planted deepest. And when they grow, they won't just grow into success. They'll grow into legacy. And legacy isn't about what you achieve. It's about what you ignite in others. And it all begins with a goal that dares you to evolve. So dare. Dare to want more, not more stuff, but more substance, more soul, more strength, more alignment between the man or woman you see in the mirror and the greatness you feel pulsing inside your spirit. Because that feeling, that whisper in your gut, that ache in your chest that says, I'm not done yet. That's not noise. That's a signal. That's destiny. And destiny doesn't wait forever. It's calling now, not later. Now. This is the moment. This is the shift. This is the line in the sand between the life you tolerate and the life you design. So don't just dream, declare. Don't just want, walk. Don't just plan, produce. Make it physical. Make it visible. Make it real. Set a goal that stirs your spirit. One that demands you restructure your life around it. One that forces you to rise early, think clearly, speak boldly, and live fiercely. One that requires you to upgrade your identity. Because if you're still thinking like your past, you can't build your future. Let that version of you die. Mourn it if you must, but bury it. Then resurrect the version of you who doesn't quit. The one who creates before consuming, who plans before reacting, who honors commitments made in silence louder than the noise around them, who doesn't wait to be chosen, who chooses themselves every single day. That's the version that builds legacies. That's the version who sets goals that actually motivate, because those goals weren't chosen for applause, for validation, or for vanity. They were chosen to reflect the truth of who you really are and who you must become. So let this be the vow. No more goals that keep you small. No more goals that help you blend in. No more goals that make others comfortable but leave your soul starving. From this moment forward, only goals that wake up your greatness. Only goals that demand your evolution. Only goals that echo in eternity. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need perfect timing. You need one thing and one thing only: decision. Decide who you are. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. Decide what mountain you will move, what fire you will walk through, what storm you will outlast. And then set the goal and become the person who finishes it. Because this world has enough people who start. What it's starving for are people who finish, who follow through, who rise again, who lead by example, who speak life, live bold, and make their days mean something. And that's you. You were not born to repeat. You were born to redefine. So go. Set the kind of goal that demands your soul to stand tall. And don't stop. Not until the world looks at your life and says, that was someone who meant it. That was someone who didn't just write goals.